Hi and welcome back to Sweets and Beyond. Today we will be making a classic Puerto Rican dish, which is white rice, stewed beans, and fried chicken chunks. In Spanish is Arroz blanco, Habichuelas guisada, y Chicharron de Pollo. Okay, so now let's get started. For today's recipe, for the stewed beans or las habichuelas guisadas, you will need 1 can of tomato sauce, 2 cans of beans. It could be any type of bean except black beans. Black beans do not have tomato sauce in them. We're going to use fresh cilantro, ground cumin, oregano, a package of Goya Ham flavored seasoning, sazon Knorr with culantro y achiote, oregano, I don't know if I mentioned it, a small cut up in little cubes potatoes. This is 1 cup of pumpkin squash and about a quarter of a cup of olives. For the fried chicken chunks, we will be using adobo, paprika, and garlic powder, and of course oil for frying the chicken. Oh, I forgot to mention, for the stewed beans also we're going to use sofrito and olive oil. Okay, so now let's get started. So we're going to get started with the chicken. I cut up 3 large chicken breasts in chunks with the skin and with the bone. Okay, so I season them with adobo and a little bit of garlic powder. So what we're going to do is, to make the chicharron, so for it to be nice and crispy, you're going to first dip it in the flour. The flour is regular all-purpose flour, which I season with a little bit of adobo and paprika. So we're gonna just flour the chicken, and then we're gonna dip it in a little bit of water with adobo. So you're gonna dip it, let it drain a little, and then put it back in the flour. And here is your chicharron. So you continue to do this with all the pieces. First the flour, make sure it's coated, you shake it off, dip it, and then you flour it again. You can use any type of chicken with this, any type of piece of chicken. I had chicken breast, but you can cut up thighs, legs, even wings with this. Okay, so now I am done. I have already done all the chicken, and we're gonna start frying the chicken. So we already floured the chicken. We're gonna leave it rest for a few minutes. I already started the white rice, which in previous videos, like in the pollo guisado video, you can see how I make white rice. But now we're gonna start with the beans. So my stove is right now at a 7. So we're gonna add some olive oil to the pan, maybe like 2 tablespoons. And then we're gonna add the sofrito. It'll be 2 heaping tablespoons. Or maybe 3. I like sofrito. And you have to watch my previous video on how to make sofrito. If you followed my instructions on how to make sofrito and put it in cubes, this would be 3 cubes. So now we have our sofrito, and we're gonna let it cook a little until it darkens in color. While it's cooking, we are going to use our Goya Ham flavored seasoning. And we're gonna put it in, and we're gonna let it dissolve in there. I can already smell it. So the next step would be to add the sazon Knorr. I have to stir my rice. It's about almost time. So from a 7 to a 3, the 2.5, 3, I'm going to cover the rice. Now let's continue with the stewed beans or las habichuelas guisadas. So now I have the sofrito with the ham cube. Now we're going to add a can of Goya tomato sauce. A whole can. This is 8 ounces. Makes a funny noise. It looks like a lot of tomato sauce, but I'm making 2 cans of beans. Now we're going to add oregano. Aren't they cute? I love these bottles now. So that's too much. Maybe like a teaspoon of oregano. Gonna add the olives. This says 1/4 cup. Cumin. There's a little left, so that would have been like a teaspoon. This is a secret. Everybody loves when I make this. This is the first time I'm showing anybody how to make this. So now we're going to get our beans. Here I have 2 cans of pink beans. 2 cans. They won't come out. Okay, now we're going to stir it around to mix everything together. And if you notice, I haven't added any salt because the ham cube and the sazon and the beans already have salt. So I don't want to have over salted food. And also the rice has salt in it too. So our next step is to add the pumpkin. And it's okay if it's big chunks because it'll reduce down. As it's cooking, it'll shrink a little. And you want it to break up a little because it'll thicken the sauce. So now we're going to add water. I should have measured it, but maybe like 1.5 cups of water. So we're going to stir this around. Now we're going to add cilantro. We're going to pick it out, so it's okay that it's big. So we're not going to add the potatoes right now because I cut them really small. So we're not going to add them right now. We're going to let this boil at 6 right now for about 5 to 7 minutes. Uncovered. Okay, the chicken has rested for about 5 minutes and now we're going to start frying it. In this frying pan I have about maybe 2 cups of canola oil and it's at a 7 right now. So we're going to start dropping our chicken pieces in here. Chicken breast will fry up real fast, but try not to overcrowd the pan. Because they'll cook faster, and you don't want the heat of the oil. So I think that's about right. So you can, yeah, we can do another piece right here. So now we will wait. There is a little trick. You have it at a 7. My stove goes from 0 to 10. I have it at a 7 right now. If you see, the oil is cloudy because of the flour I just put in. You know when to turn the chicken when this oil is clear again. So we will be back to turn the chicken. It has been several minutes now, and if you can see the difference in the oil has cleared up, and now it's time to flip the chicken. Now, to ensure that it cooks, I'm going to cover it for 3 minutes. Then I'm going to cover it and let it continue cooking. The reason why I'm covering it is to ensure that it's cooked through, and it'll give it moistness since we're frying it, but it'll be moister once, and believe me, it will not affect the crunchiness of it because we will still cook it without the lid on. Okay, the first batch of chicken is already done. Nice crispy and brown. So while I have the second batch in, I put in the potatoes in the beans. I put in the potatoes in the beans. I lowered the temperature from a 7 to a 5. And I will cover it for 10 more minutes. And we will be back with the finished product. Okay, now I'm finishing frying up the last of the chicken. So to know when the chicken is completely done is you take a knife, and in the thickest part of the chicken you will insert your knife. When you see, ow, I burned myself. When you see that all the juices run clear, you can stab it, and when you see all the juices run clear, that means that your chicken is ready. So let me pull out all this chicken. Look how beautiful that is, chicharron. See, this is why it's called chicharron. See that? That's why it's called chicharron. So now let's check on the beans. So the same thing, we're going to check and make sure that our pumpkin is cooked. We know the potatoes are cooked because they were so small. But now we check with the same knife, we check the pumpkin. And when it goes straight through, just like a potato, it's done. So in an hour, we've made white rice, stewed beans, and fried chicken chunks. Or arroz blanco, habichuelas guisadas, y chicharrón de pollo. Okay, here it is. Arroz blanco, habichuelas guisadas, chicharrón de pollo, white rice, stewed beans, and fried chicken chunks. I also made a little baby spinach salad, and I just drizzled it with some olive oil and black pepper. So now, so you can see, here's the pumpkin. Here's the little pieces of potatoes too. And let me see if I can cut into one of these chunks so you can see it. And did you hear that? How crunchy? See? See how juicy it is too? Here you have it. In less than an hour, I made all this. So please remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel. Buen provecho!